Hey guys, today we're gonna plant some potatoes. Like, you know, the kind of potatoes you have like a potato bar, sour cream, butter, cheese, whatever you like, but you're not gonna need much on these potatoes because they're gonna taste so good. So seed potatoes are in the Solanaceae family, so same as tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, but they're that like cousin in the family that grow in a totally different way. So most of my like tomatoes, eggplants, those kind of plants, they're gonna go back in my raised bed kitchen garden. But what I found over the years is I actually prefer having my potatoes outside of my raised beds because potatoes take up a lot of space, and they need just kind of a different setup. They also need a different kind of soil, a pH that's unique. So I like putting them in a different spot, and usually I like to grow them in ground. So over the last 2 years, what I've done is I've grown them here in front of my raised beds in what I call as my pollinator garden. Now right now I don't have tons of pollinators, but I will soon. And I found that they just kind of all grow together pretty well. So we did a lot of mulch in this area. So I've got more mulch than I would like to have. But basically to get started, what I'm gonna do is dig about a foot deep trench. So you have to do quite a bit of work here, but it's well worth it. And this is again is one of the reasons why I like planting potatoes outside of the raised bed, because it's kind of hard to dig a 1 foot trench inside of a raised bed. Okay, so I did a little muscle work. I've gotten not quite a foot deep trench. I don't know what this is. Let's see. This is probably, if I put my shovel down in here, I'm about this deep. Maybe I am 10 to 12 inches. So we've dug a trench, so now we're ready to get set up to plant. Now, like I was saying, potatoes prefer a different kind of soil. They want the soil to be a little bit acidic. There are amendments you can put into your soil to make it a little bit acidic. I generally, honestly, just use compost, and I find that potatoes planted in compost do fantastic. So I've dug this trench now, and now I'm gonna add some compost to this space. So I generally like to do, say, 2 to 3 inches of compost in the trench. So that way the potatoes are gonna be planted right, almost, they're gonna feel like they're almost in 100% compost because they're small to start, right? So you can see 1 bag. This is Espoma's organic mushroom compost blend. And this is not even quite 1 cubic foot. So one bag really filled up this space really well. Probably almost too much, to be honest. So now my space is totally ready to go, and I'm just gonna put my seed potatoes in. So I have grown potatoes successfully just by buying organic potatoes from the grocery and planting those out. But I have found that I have more success when I buy seed potatoes from the nursery. Can you guys tell I'm winded? I actually do work out besides shoveling, but somehow that wore me out. Okay, so I have these potatoes I'm gonna show you. Oops, still with me? I have these potatoes I'm gonna show you that I'm gonna plant. I bought a wide variety. So I always try to buy organic and local if I can. So these ones are called Purple Majesty. They have the USDA organic, what do you call that, emblem. And these are already starting to sprout. You can see how they're growing their first growth. These are crazy looking. So these are called Purple Majesty. I always try to grow things that I think are unique and probably I couldn't find from the grocery. So look at these babies. They look like little, I don't know, aliens or something. So at this point, if I had planned ahead, I could cut this potato at every eye section. So I could plant this part and this part. Like this potato could be 3 or 4 different potatoes. I am planting a little bit later than I wanted to, and I also wanted to make this video for y'all. So I'm just gonna put this entire thing in the ground without cutting it. If you do cut your potato up into sections, you need to give it like 24 hours or more for the potato sides to kind of dry out. The reason for this is because it can start to rot or mold if it's wet underground. So you'd want it to kind of, they call it scabbing over if you were to cut it. So I'm not going to cut it. I'm just going to put this whole thing in, and I'm going to plant them. Usually they say every 18 inches, but I'm actually going to do one like every foot, because you know me, I like to pack in the plants. So I'm going to put that here. I know my hand is about 8 to 10 inches, so I'll put the second one here. And I just make sure that these growths, this is off of the eyes of the potato, the growths need to be up. That's where it's going to grow its leaves from. So when the potato starts to produce leaves, you'll see that the leaves actually look somewhat similar to like tomato leaves. And believe it or not, potatoes even produce flowers that look very similar to eggplant and tomato flowers. So I'm just going to put these right down in a row, and as you can see, it's kind of unconventional, but I'm planting them right between tulips. But I'm putting it down in the trough, so this will allow me to mulch and put compost around the potato as it starts to grow. Because it's the roots, it's the tubers that we want growth with for the potatoes, not the greens, right? All right, so you can see how I've placed these. They're just about 12 inches apart from one another. I do like to break the rules. Plant spacing, they usually say, is about 18 inches. So I'm gonna add, I have a little bit more space back here, so I'm gonna add just another different kind of potato, just for fun before we finish up. In terms of timing, potatoes can go in the ground earlier than tomatoes and eggplants and peppers, all in the same family, and that is because they're growing underground. So a lot of times, like I was looking at even the directions for these ones are called Russian banana. I think they look pretty cool. So they say not to plant these until after the frost date. But I've always, look how cool this is. But I've always grown potatoes. I've always planted them well before the frost date, like 2 to 4 weeks before the last frost date. So basically, as long as the soil can be worked, then I say go ahead and plant. They're going to be protected, you know, underground, and you want these to start growing and producing before it gets too hot. Now, potatoes do take quite a long time to grow, so I'm going to start covering these up. Potatoes take quite a long time to grow. These generally I plant them April-ish, and then I usually don't harvest until August. So, you know, 90 to 100 days before you start to, you know, be ready to harvest. When you harvest them, it's so cool. You can see how this one tuber becomes, usually I'll get 5, 6 or so potatoes off of each potato that I've planted. So I like to say it's this super cool example of how the garden is a great gamble, right? Because what else will give you like 5, 6 times your investment within 90 days? Not many things. Like, that would be an incredible stock to buy, right? If you could get 5 to 6 times your investment over 90 days. But potatoes are like that, which I think is so awesome. This is a great thing to do with your kids. Kids love pulling up the potatoes at the end of the season. And as you can see, it's something that you can do in a row garden. You don't have to have a raised bed to get started. So that's all. So I'm going to water these in. I'm going to cover them up a little bit. You can see I didn't cover, you don't want to build the trench back all the way, because we'll add compost as these start to leaf up and grow. And that, my friends, is the dirty and very fun job of planting potatoes. Digging up potatoes at the end of the summer is just one of the simplest, purest joys I think you can ever experience. So I hope you will plant your own potatoes and go for it this season. I clearly need to work out more because I'm winded from digging potatoes. So I hope you love this video. If you did, please subscribe to the Gardenary channel. Share it with all your friends. Tell everybody you know about the Gardenary channel, and let's make gardening ordinary together. I've got tons of resources right below this video to keep you growing, including my book, Kitchen Garden Revival. And did you know that we have consultants that work for Gardenary, or they've been certified by Gardenary, that work all over the country, and you can find a Gardenary consultant who can help you at the Gardenary directory that you'll find linked below this video too. So thanks for watching and growing potatoes with me. I'll see you next time.